Most e-commerce brands think they have a traffic problem, but in reality, they have a retention problem. If you run an e-commerce brand, there's a good chance you're sitting on 20 to 30% more revenue from customers you've already paid to acquire, but just haven't unlocked yet. And no, I'm not talking about just sending out more discount related emails. I'm talking about building a retention system the right way that most brands completely forget about or execute terribly. My name is Nick. I'm the founder of Barb's Media, and we help e-commerce brands increase retention and drive more revenue by building smarter email marketing systems. No fake screenshots, no secret hack nonsense, just strategies that consistently work for 7-figure brands. At this point, we've worked with over 50 e-commerce stores, and honestly, most of them did not have what I'm about to show you. So here's where most brands get email marketing completely wrong. They treat it like an afterthought. Email becomes this thing they only send out when there's big promotion, new product drop, Black Friday, or maybe when revenue is getting a little bit light. But there's no actual thought or system behind it. No real segmentation, no strategy for turning a first-time buyer into second, third, or lifetime purchasers. And because of that, the business becomes incredibly dependent on paid acquisition. The problem with this is that when meta performance dips, creative stops converting, or acquisition costs start climbing, your growth becomes unpredictable. You're constantly chasing the next customer just to maintain momentum instead of building a business that gets more value from the customers you already worked hard to acquire. That's where email should come in. Not just as a promotional channel, but as a real retention engine, something that stabilizes profitability, increases customer lifetime value, and makes the business less reliant on paid media over time. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this yourself. So what does this actually look like? I think about this less as email marketing and more as an email operating system for your brand. Because the goal here isn't just to send more emails. More emails does not mean more revenue. The goal is to send the right emails to the right person at the right time. And when you zoom out, this really comes down to 4 key pieces: your flows, segmentation, campaigns, and your offers. When these 4 pieces work together cohesively, email stops being this random promotional channel you touch when sales are slow and starts becoming a real retention system that consistently drives revenue in the background. So let's start with flows. Here's the 3 types of flows that every e-commerce brand needs, starting with the welcome flow. The way I think about the welcome flow is pretty simple. If someone is giving you their email, they're showing some level of buying intent. Yes, in many cases, offering a discount is the right way to go about this. Discounts are still one of the strongest drivers for email signups in e-commerce. But where most brands miss the mark is they treat every new subscriber exactly the same. Same pop-up, same offer, same generic welcome sequence. So if you want a completely unique experience to give to your customers, one of the smartest things you can do is ask your potential customers what they are looking for directly from the pop-up itself. For example, asking, what types of products are you interested in? Are you shopping for men or women? What benefits are you looking for? Because now, instead of just sending the same generic welcome email, we can build a custom welcome experience tailored exactly to the prospect's preferences. If someone comes in looking for running shoes, for example, and you start spamming them with shorts and socks, chances are they're going to click out of that email and they might never buy from you again. You have to show them products that are actually relevant to them and that they actually want. Make the incentive relevant to what brought them in. That alone can make a huge difference in conversion. Beyond that, your welcome flow is also your first real opportunity to build trust. Why does your brand exist? Why does your product actually matter? What makes you different apart from the other dozens of competitors in your industry? This is where founder story, social proof, product education, and strong brand positioning all start to matter. Because at this stage, the goal isn't just to get the first sale. It's to create the kind of impression that makes someone want to come back again and again. By the way, quick side note, if you run an e-commerce brand and want a second set of eyes on your retention system, we offer free email and SMS audits. We'll take a look at your pop-ups, flows, campaigns, and overall retention strategy, then show you exactly where your biggest opportunities lie. Even if we never work together, you'll leave with actual ideas you can implement immediately. If you're interested, the link's in the description. Next, let's talk about abandonment flows, because this is where I see brands leaking revenue constantly. And one of the biggest mistakes I see brands thinking they have abandonment covered because they set up a single abandonment cart email. You would be amazed how many 7-figure brands only have one abandonment cart email. In reality, there are 4 different touch points here, each tied to a different level of intent. Starting with browse abandonment. Someone looked at a specific product and then decided to leave. Next, site abandonment. This is what happens when a visitor goes to your website, and then leaves without taking any action. Next, we have abandoned cart. So they added a product to the cart but never completed the purchase. This is obviously a much stronger buying signal, but the strongest buying signal of them all is the abandoned checkout. This is when somebody adds a product to their cart, they reach the checkout, and just as they're about to press buy, they leave the page. That's a full customer intent journey. And we want to make sure we hit with abandonment emails at every part of that, because the reasons for drop-offs might differ between flows. Someone casually browsing your site is in a very different mindset than someone who made it all the way to the checkout page. And the reason they didn't buy, maybe for completely different reasons. Timing also matters a lot here. And this is another place where most brands get it wrong. Think about it. If someone was actively shopping on your store, you want to reach out to them while the buying intent is still high. In most cases, I want that first email going out within an hour. In other unique cases, I think 15 minutes is a good time frame, because that's when the lead is the hottest, and waiting too long gives them too much time to disappear. We can't just rely on one reminder email and hoping for the best. We need a proper follow-up sequence spanning over the next 3 or 4 days, containing 3 or 4 more emails, each with different incentives. And the messaging here should be thoughtful. Has this customer already used their welcome discount? Are there any active promotions they may qualify for? Are we clearly communicating the free shipping terms this customer may or may not be eligible for? Because sometimes the customer doesn't actually need more convincing. They just need one final reason to complete the purchase. The goal here is to simply remove any friction and make that next step feel easy. The third part of the flow foundation is post-purchase. And in my opinion, this is how you can really separate generic email marketers from retention experts. Most brands have these basics covered: order confirmation, shipping and delivery updates, maybe a review request. These absolutely matter because they do shape the customer experience and reduce unnecessary support friction. But those flows alone are not what drive real retention. The real opportunity starts after the customer has received the product and had time to experience it. This is where you start thinking about how to create that second purchase. If you have a loyalty or rewards program, this is a huge place to leverage it. Don't just tell the customer they earn points. Make it painfully clear what those points actually will give them. If they earned enough to save $15, let them know they're saving $15 on their next purchase. If they're close to unlocking a meaningful reward, show them exactly what they need to do to achieve that reward. Customers respond to clear value, not vague loyalty messaging. Beyond that, this is where strategic upsells and cross-sells become really powerful. For example, if somebody bought one product, what is the next logical purchase? Don't just offer random recommendations, give them relevant ones. So for an apparel brand, if somebody buys a pair of shorts, maybe the next logical recommendation is offering a tee that matches those shorts. If they bought your hero hoodie, maybe it's recommending the joggers that complete the set. And if they've shown clear product affinity over time, maybe now it makes sense to offer or introduce a bundle of that same product they know and love. Of course, timing matters here too. You don't want to push the next sale before the first experience has even happened. The best post-purchase systems respect the customer journey. First, deliver a great experience, then educate, then create relevant next purchase opportunities, because this is where the real retention starts, not an acquisition after the first purchase. So the next piece of the email operating system is segmentation. And I know I'm going to get some heat for this, but I think most brands massively overcomplicate segmentation. Everybody loves talking about hyper-specific segments: first-time buyers, repeat buyers, win-back customers, product interest groups. And yes, there's absolutely a time and place for these segments. But in my experience, the metric that matters the most for campaigns is engagement. Because if somebody isn't even opening your emails, then what's the point of separating them into these hyper-specific groups? At that point, you're just hurting your deliverability. So for most brands, I actually like keeping segmentation very, very simple. 30-day engaged segment, 90-day engaged segment, 180-day engaged segment, and your total list. To be clear, when I say engaged, I mean they've interacted ways like they've opened or clicked one of your emails in those timeframes. So if you're emailing very frequently, your 30-day segment can be powerful, but for most brands, your 90-day is going to be your core segment that you email the most. Your 180-day gives you some room for reach, but your all-time list, should only be reserved for big promotions, new product drops, really important information, or Black Friday sales. Where I think brands should actually get more thoughtful is with their exclusions, who they don't send to. Your don't send logic is just as important. So you're going to want to filter out spam accounts, bot accounts, hard bounces, soft bounces over a certain threshold. If you also email your wholesale list, you're going to want to make sure you filter out that list from your main email list, or any other edge case audiences that simply shouldn't be receiving your campaigns. Because ultimately, this is less about clever segmentation and more about protecting list health. Your flows will handle most of the deeper behavioral targeting. Campaign segmentation should stay simple, clean, and focused on engagement. So the next part, campaigns. And when I think about campaign strategy, one of the biggest things that matters is keeping your audience engaged over time. Promotions and product drops often perform really well, and that's not necessarily because there's a discount involved. A big part of it is actually novelty. It gives people a reason to pay attention because something feels new, timely, or worth acting on. Where brands run into trouble is when every campaign starts to feel the same. Same messaging, same structure, the same promotional angle over and over again. And naturally, when this happens, engagement starts to fall, and likewise revenue. So when building a campaign content calendar, I think less about sending promotions and more about creating variety. Yes, promotions have their place, product launches, seasonal moments, limited offers, all of that works. But there are plenty other angles we can attack here. For example, product benefit campaigns, user-generated content, community-driven campaigns, behind-the-scenes moments, early access opportunities that make subscribers feel like they're getting something exclusive. So if you're an apparel brand, that might mean showing how real customers are styling a new collection instead of just sending another product highlight campaign. Or highlighting the thinking behind a product launch so customers feel more connected to what they're buying. The goal is simply to keep your email content feeling fresh enough that people continue opening, clicking, and engaging over time. Because once engagement drops, everything becomes harder. So if I were implementing this from scratch, here's exactly how I would approach the next 30 days. Week 1, let's look at your foundation. So that means auditing all of your existing flows, cleaning your list of any spam or bot accounts or unengaged people. Build your 30, 90, 180, and total subscriber segments. Set up your don't send exclusions, and you can call that a week. Week number 2, your core flows. This is going to take a lot of time, but it's important we do it the right way. So you're going to want to rebuild your welcome flow around customer preferences, set up all 4 abandonment flows triggers, and make sure abandonment emails trigger quickly, and build your follow-up recovery sequences. Week 3 is more focused on retention in general. So this is where you're going to want to build out your post-purchase monetization flows, add your loyalty rewards messaging, add your upsells, cross-sells, second purchase offers, and you just start building a real content calendar. Week 4, optimization. So now that we have all of our segments and flows set up the right way, so we're going to want to review our engagement and deliverability, cut what's underperforming, double down on what's working, and continue improving over time. This alone will put most brands in a dramatically better position than what they are now. The reality is most brands already understand to some degree what I just explained, but very few actually take the time required to build a real system. The team gets busy, paid acquisition takes priority, and email becomes reactive once again. So if you're watching this and thinking, we should set this up the right way, but we just don't have the time or internal team to do so, that's exactly what we help with at Barb's Media. We build and manage retention systems for e-commerce brands through email and SMS. If you want to chat, put a link in the description. And if you find this kind of content useful, you can subscribe down below. I'll be breaking down more real retention strategies, systems, and lessons for an inside e-commerce brands, because the brands that grow the most sustainably are usually the ones that get the most out of the customers they already do have. Thanks so much, and see you in the next one.